Chapter 99 Class Competition Results Announced Kaworu Heisa's point of view. It is time for the examinations to end, and a notice announcing the end is issued simultaneously to each student's ARM terminal. At the plaza in front of the Adventurers Guild, where the headquarters for the interclass competition was set up, the results of rankings and scores were to be announced, and students from all classes were gathering one after another to watch and talk about who would win in the top class.
We, on the other hand, were in a bad shape. We were sure to finish at the bottom of the standings. Even so, we came together with the E-class students to burn our regrets into our eyes so that we could make the most of them next time. The other classes were looking at us with white eyes, wondering why we had come to hear the obvious results, but we were aware of that.
I ignore their stares and check my watch. It was almost time to start announcing the results. Looking ahead, I saw the teachers and staff members hurriedly moving around in the administration headquarters. The results have been tallied, so I'll move on to the announcement of the results of the interclass competition. The video is fine, it seems. A woman in her 30s, wearing a suit and tie, held a microphone on a specially set up platform in the plaza and explained the results while checking a large screen behind her. She is the head of the first-year class of the Adventurers School. A short distance away, several people are holding a large camera. The images being taken by that camera can be accessed and viewed from any ARM terminal by entering the specified address. Even students still in the dungeon can see the live video. I got, just in time. It was more complicated than I thought. Tsukishima, who had left the group on his own, called out to me from behind, boldly saying that he was going to get a big magic stone. I wonder if it's true that he had already gotten the promised magic stone and completed the registration. He winked at me and said confidently, "Well, I got a magic stone that even A-class students can't get, so you can count on me, can't you?"
Tsukishima-kun says confidently with his chest out while winking. Even though I was told to expect it, I wanted him to support the total magic stone amount group until the end. If what he says is true, I'm wondering how that is possible even in the first place, but for now, let's focus on listening to the announcement of the results.
First place went to Class A with 846 points. The breakdown is on the screen behind me. The first place, Class A, the score, and the breakdown of the score are displayed. I was not surprised, since they were leading in a number of events and the midway results announced at 9 a.m. this morning. Oh yay, we did it, Sarasama, ladies and gentlemen, you did a great job.
The A-class group in front of us cheered. The breakdown was, first place in the three categories of reaching the designated point, depth reached, and designated quest. Especially in the reaching the designated point, the group had scored more points than any other class. Yuma also worked hard until the end in this category, but the difference in experience, level, and the presence of helpers was too great to overcome.
That class has too many layers. Unlike our class, there is not a single minnow. In Class A, there are no dropouts, and anyone who comes out of the class has the strength to become a competitive force in his or her own right. No matter what the event, no matter how the class is divided, the strongest class in the school year is Class A. I have been striving for that place for a long time, but with the person I am now, it seems a long way off in the distance. Shaking my head to dispel any thoughts of weakness, I listened to the next announcement. The next one was Class B with 828 points. I can hear the sighs and disappointed voices from Class B as they realize they have lost to Class A by the narrowest of margins. Many of them seem to have a strong rivalry with Class A, and I can see some of them glaring at each other. Damn, only by 18 points. Sorry, Suo. We all did our best. Let's win next time. The first place finishers were defeat of designated monsters, depth reached, and total amount of magic stones, while the rest were in second place. It seems that there are many talented people in this class. I wondered if they had an agreement with Class A to be ranked first in the same depth of attainment. In the center of the group, a male student with long black hair who appeared to be the class leader. Was it Suo? Perhaps the reason he was able to fight so well was because of his popularity and leadership ability. I would like to analyze and share this information with Naoto and his team later. Next, in third place is Class C with 438 points. Class C was far behind Class B in second place. The difference in points was due to the fact that Class A and B dominated the top two places in almost all events. However, looking at their levels and equipment, they do not look so inferior. There are some excellent students, such as the male student wearing the Japanese-style armor. How could there be such a big difference in scores? The C class doesn't get any help. There may be a powerful organization in the background, but they are not overprotective like the aristocrats. They don't intervene in every single test between students. It is true that without help, it would be a tough battle, as I have experienced firsthand. After all, in order to compete with the upper class, they must either prepare helpers or eliminate the rule of helpers. In any case, it is a difficult problem. Next up was to be the announcement of the fourth place winner, but there was some kind of a mix-up with the teachers at. Something seems to have happened. I was looking at them and Mishima-kun told me what was going on. Hey Ace, it seems there was an addition of points just before the tally. Addition of points? Maybe it's a D class. Maybe it's because of the magic stone I got. TL. Someone beat this guy for me. I thought it would be a D class since I can't think of any score addition in our class, but Tsukishima-kun grinned next to me and said, expect it from me. But even if I could get a magic stone of such a high level, it would not be enough to reach the score of D class. In other words, a change in ranking is not possible. That's what I thought. Excuse me, in surprise of Everone the 4th place, E-class, with 349 points. What does that mean? There's going to be a breakdown. Not only the E-class, but even the higher-ranked classes all groaned and shouted in surprise at once. That's because, until the announcement of the scores this morning, we had been separated by more than 100 points from the 4th place D-class and had been the worst by far. I and my classmates were having a hard time understanding what was going on. Everyone was staring at the score breakdown on the screen, trying to figure out what had happened. I was not surprised to see that the designated quest, led by Naoto, was in 3rd place. I know that they were doing well along the way. However, reaching the designated point, and defeating the designated monster, were at the bottom of the list, with almost no points, and the total amount of magic stones was 0 points due to disqualification. Yes, the scores were hopeless, just as they had been this morning. Who would have thought that they could turn the tables on Class D here? But depth of attainment is 1st place. What does that mean? What was even Sota doing to achieve that? I had thrown several messages to Sota since yesterday to let him know that the total magic stone amount group was disqualified, but there was no reply. Even before that, I tried to get confirmation of where he was currently and what he was doing, but there was no response. Being tied for 1st place, I had no idea that he was following the top class to the end of the 20th floor. What a reckless thing to do. TL. Someone beat her too. If he'd made it that far, he would have probably been exposed to the aura of a high-level monster more than once. Even if it is not as strong as the aura of the man from the Brocade Club, it is far superior, and it weakens the spirit of the adventurer by eating away at it. I thought that Sota, being a small man, would not do anything reckless, but how could he go so far as to? A further question comes to mind. Why did Class A and Class B allow Sota to accompany them? The opponents were all aristocrats and had a large number of helpers, and there was no reason to go out of their way to make an agreement with Class E even if they allowed us to accompany them on a whim. It was too dangerous to take Sota, who is level 3, up to the 20th floor. I wonder if he is even safe and alive. But even this should be far from a reversal. What's going on? Mishima was next to me, wondering. Even if the depth of attainment was the best, the score gap with the D-class was too wide to make a comeback. As they carefully searched the big screen for any other reason, a new reason appeared on the screen, and the students were once again in a daze. Magic Stone Rating. The Magic Stone Rating. The more you have, the more points you will get. The higher the rank of the Magic Stone, the more special bonuses are awarded. Naturally, in order to get such a magical stone, it is necessary to defeat a monster of such a high level that even the 1st or 2nd highest rank cannot defeat it. Although the Magic Stone rating has a large number of points, it is impossible to get such a magic stone with the strength of the E-class, so it has been a category that had been excluded from the beginning in terms of strategy made by our Class E. But it seems that what they got was not just a magic stone. Someone in our class got a level 25 magic stone that is also a raid boss level magic stone. Tsukishima-kun, by any chance, did you? No, that's not the one I got. Who is it? Mishima-kun was surprised that we, the E-class, took the magic stone rating, but tried to get information from the surroundings in a loud voice. Tsukishima-kun said, I took a big magic stone, so I asked him about it, and he said that the magic stone he took was different from that one. Then, who in the world would have gotten it? Raid bosses are special boss monsters that can be summoned only under special conditions. The amount of magic power in the magic stones they drop is said to be 2 orders of magnitude greater than that of ordinary monsters. If they are level 25 raid bosses, they are so valuable that they should be called treasures. The problem is the difficulty of defeating such monsters. It would probably be necessary to gather a dozen adventurers equal to or better than Kaga of the Kinran Kai in a well-balanced manner. It is hard to believe that the students of Class E, who cannot rely on helpers, can come up with such a thing, but since it is actually added up as a score, I have to believe it. As each classmate was pondering this, a loud voice was heard from the upper class. What do you mean, Kikyo-Sara? I don't know either, but we can only think so. The level of the inferior class has already been confirmed. The sudden loud voice made everyone turn their heads and pay attention. The one who was shouting angrily with his eyes peel open was the B-class leader, Suo. I was surprised, too, because I had thought he would never be that distraught. The person he is talking to is Sara-san, who is at the top of his class. Do they know something? Sensei, said Mr. Sara. That magic stone was the magic crystal of the Great Demon, wasn't it? Let me see the data. Suo-kun crowded up to the head of the school who was on the stage and asked for the disclosure of the data. In the class competitions, the ARM terminal automatically tallies the monsters defeated, the number of people defeated, and even their names. If you defeated a raid boss, the system would tell you who defeated him. The location is the 20th floor, and we have confirmed the defeat of the Great Demon. The defeaters are Akira Tenma, Katona Kuga, and Sota Narumi. Hey, what the heck? That's a Great Demon. Only 3? How is that possible? Did the helpers assist them?
I know who Tenma is, but who are the rest?
Everyone was surprised to hear the name of the raid boss, and with only 3 people helping out, then it is not described as 3 people to defeat. The Great Demon seems to be a famous monster, but what kind of monster is it? It has a unique name, so I guess it's not a proper common monster. And there is still a surprising point. Sota, of course, was there, and even Kuga-san. She was also out of the total magic stone amount group, but I had no idea that she was fighting a raid boss on the 20th floor. I had no idea what was going on at that time because of all the unexpected things that happened. Butao is different, he's just a mobster. Tenma must not be at a high enough level at this point. What about Kuga if she were to get serious? Tsukishima-kun, mumbling to himself. I don't know how much Sota has improved his abilities lately, but I can clearly tell that fighting raid bosses is clearly impossible for him, and Kuga, who was an E-class dropout not too long ago, should be different as well. If so, did Tenma-san beat him by herself? Even if she was able to defeat him, how did the magic stone come to belong to the E-class? If I don't know anything, then, I call up the phone screen from the terminal on my arm and try to call Sota. But no matter how many times I call him, I can't get through, and the message I sent him doesn't get read. What the hell are you doing? I just want to know if he's okay. Mishima and other classmates tried the same thing, sending messages and making calls, but the results were the same. Quiet. Lastly, I would like to announce the 5th place, Class D. No one is listening to the announcement of the results anymore due to the shocking fact of the ranking of E-class. Too many questions led to speculation, and the information was so convoluted that it was almost impossible to keep track of it all. Some of the students are even exchanging information with each other, even jumping from one class to another. Mishima-kun is also being asked what kind of people Sota and Kuga-san are from the upper classes, but even we don't know what's going on, and I don't think he has any answers. In the midst of the crowd, there was someone walking gracefully with bright azure hair. She did not seem to be an ordinary person, even from the way she walked. When her eyes met mine, she smiled and headed straight for me. Wait a minute, lady, is there someone named Sota Narumi here? A female student who turns her folded black fan toward me, then puffs it open and elegantly covers her mouth. She is a sophomore because of the blue color of her scarf. I can tell she is an aristocrat because of the golden badge on her chest. My heart leaps when I am spoken to by someone of an unexpected status. I think, Sota is still in the dungeon. Who are you? I am Kusunoki Karara and I'm going to be the one who will be holding the tea party tomorrow as scheduled, so could you tell him to be sure he's not late? She looked at the screen and mumbled to herself. You are doing a very conspicuous thing, aren't you? Kusunoki is the leader of the 8 dragons, as I recall. Why would such a bigwig have a tea party with Sota? My mind is on the verge of overheating from the rush of surprises, but all I could do was stand there staring at Sota's phone number. Chapter 100. Rain that began to fall on the way back from the cathedral on the 20th floor. I managed to evade the strict pursuit of Kuga-san and the chief butler, and finally arrived at our house. I could have returned home immediately if I had used the gate, but of course I could not do so because I had to keep it a secret. I also wanted to keep my abilities under wraps, so I kept my mouth shut and avoided the topic at times, but now as they were watching my every move, and I had been spending all this time on the edge of the needle. I'm exhausted, both physically and mentally. I'm so exhausted, sofa here I come. I was too lazy to go upstairs to my room, so I slumped down on the old sofa in the living room, and at the same time the house chime rang. The Narumi family is having a dungeon dive day today, so the general merchandise shop Narumi is closed. The family is out hunting and I should be the only one at home. I was sleepy, but I thought there might be a customer at the store, so I decided to answer the door. When I opened the door to see who it was, I found my childhood friend standing there with her arms folded and staring at me with a glare. Why didn't you answer the phone, Kaworu? A phone call. I know that I had hundreds of incoming calls and texts from my classmates on my ARM terminal, but I was exhausted and ignored them all. What was going on? As I was wondering what to say to her, my childhood friend looked at me closely and was surprised to see her big eyes widen even more. Well, I guess she would be surprised to see me lose so much weight in such a short period of time, but I think she was a little too surprised. What's wrong? You've become so thin, Sota, you're him right. It said, boys, if you don't see each other for 3 days, you'll never see each other again. You're here now, so I'll at least offer you some tea. I guess you must have a few questions you'd like to ask me, but I'm too tired to answer them. Kaworu, on the other hand, nodded slightly and took off her shoes, although she made a gesture as if she was hesitating for a moment. Come to think of it, I was the only one in the house, so maybe she was being cautious. It's not good that I was too tired to think about that level of thing, but I won't do anything, so please don't worry. I want to take a break too, so I'm going to make tea for both of us. I think I found some good new tea over there. This is it. I put the teacup filled with hot tea on the table and looked at Kaworu, who was staring at me. I hope it suits your palate. Oh, thank you, I'll take it. She sat down at the table across from me and took a break while sipping my tea. I sat down on a chair and was about to pick up my teacup when Kaworu asked me. I'm talking about the class competition, may I? I'm good, carry on. The ARM terminal had been turned off or left in the locker, so she couldn't contact me, and this caused a lot of trouble and worry for Kaworu, who was in charge of overseeing the group. I'll tell her what I can. You were originally going to turn around at the 7th floor and meet up with us, but why did you go up to the 20th floor, such a dangerous level? I was going to turn back too, but the B-class aristocrats. I just went with the group to carry the luggage. I explained that I was surrounded by dozens of helpers, so there was never a situation where students had to fight. Well, there was only the last one that was messy. Kaworu listens to me as if to check each one of my explanation and looks deep into my eyes to see if it is true. I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable when she looked at me with those eyes. I think I can handle it if I sort out what to say and what not to say and deal with it calmly, but the Butao mind inside me almost screams with joy, so I end up thinking in a confused way. She then asks me suspiciously why the Great Demon's magic stone was an E-Class 1. I realized this later, but it seems that Tenma had somehow registered the magic stone I thought I had pushed on Tenma as mine. However, I couldn't tell her that I had fought with the lesser demon, so I pushed her by saying, I didn't do anything in particular, maybe she gave it to me because we got along well. However, it seems that she is still not convinced. I wonder why she gave you such a valuable magic stone. It's so valuable that it would cost 10 million yen if she bought it. 10 million? The magic stones of raid monsters are more valuable as treasures than as magic stone energy and are traded at a high price in the market. If it belongs to a famous monster, the price jumps up. Even though the Narumi family's economy has been improving recently, we have never handled such a large amount of goods. Because of the amount of money, I have to give Tenma and Kuga their share too. But I'm getting information that you have been hanging out with the second in command for a long time. It seems that she likes you a lot, but recently Sota also has been strangely open-minded, for example, Kusunoki Karara-senpai. The results of the class competition that took place yesterday were announced. Kusunoki appeared there alone and asked her to give me a message. She said she was having a tea party this evening. I remember she invited me, way back. I remembered that Kusunoki had invited me to the Kunoichi Red clan party about a month ago. The clan leader of Kunoichi Red is a sexy actress who often appears on TV and is well known among the general public, so I had an image of Kunoichi Red as a group of entertainers. Aggressive clan. I heard that it is an underworld clan that specializes in espionage and assassinations. I was not happy to be invited to such a dangerous clan, and I would have refused, but that was not the case. After all, I had received a personal invitation from Haruka Mikami, the leader of the Kunoichi Red clan. I did some research on this Haruka Mikami, and found out that she is a noblewoman with the rank of count, whose father was a politician and former minister in the House of Peers with a strong military background, and whose mother is the daughter of a wealthy family that is descended from a marquis. The Goshin family seems to be a wealthy aristocrat with strong connections in the political and business worlds. Incidentally, Kira Kusunoki is a niece of Haruka Goshin. Do you know what kind of person this Kusunoki is? Well, I don't know. Well, in a manner of speaking. I thought you said you weren't even acquaintances when I asked you before, but from what she told me yesterday, she seemed to know about Sota. She say, and she looks deep into my eyes again, trying to determine who I am and what I'm thinking. I, a childhood friend who should have led an ordinary life up until high school, had somehow made the acquaintance of a nobleman. And she's one of the most prestigious nobles in the adventurer school. If such a person went to the trouble of coming alone to meet with me, it is not unreasonable to assume that something had happened. Most aristocrats are proud and don't care what happens to ordinary people. If something goes wrong, there are those who will even try to pervert the judicial system. It is better to think that there is no aristocrat who is tolerant and treats everyone without distinction like Tenma-san. The nobility, so to speak, is like a disaster for the common people, and Kaworu is probably worried about that and is probing into the matter. So, what about the tea party? Oh, well, what can I say? I have been invited to a magical place called a tea party. The other side must have invited me because they wanted to examine my background and make a judgment on me in person. Since they are nobles, I can't ignore them, but there is no denying the possibility of trouble if I go. I will tell my family to stay in the dungeon for tonight, and of course I don't want Kaworu to get involved. I think, but my inner Butao mind is appealing to me to expose everything and pull her into my side. Kaworu Hayase is a very wise and sincere person and she is also trustworthy. I am well aware of that. I have thought many times that I would like to bring her to my side. However, Kaworu's trust in me is not just zero, it's a big negative because she hates me so much because of what I've done up until now. If the relationship is this far gone, it would be easier to bring in someone else. Although, there is also the matter of Akaji-san and the others. This time, it was an inter-class competition. Akaji and his team entered the exam without meeting the standard level, and as expected, they did not achieve any results and suffered from various troubles. If left unchecked, they will inevitably struggle in future events as well and the main storyline could end in failure. If that is the case, it would be better to draw Kaworu in and provide support through her, even if it means struggling to make Akaji and his team stronger. Is there something you can't tell me? With big eyes, she appeals to me, if there is something you are hiding, please talk about it. Of course, the only reason I want to bring Kaworu in is not only because I want to do something about Akaji and her friends. How dependable it would be to have such a talented, lovely, and kind girl on your side. How much more colorful our days would be. Butao mind is also so excited that he repeatedly appeals to me to reach out to her, but... No, they're going to treat me to a meal. If they're going to go to all this trouble, I thought I'd go and enjoy it. Oh, her long eyelashes go down in disappointment as she realizes that I won't tell the core of the story. Kaworu does not have a future story where she is driven into a catastrophic situation like Satsuki, and there should be no particularly terrible bad ending. Even if she faces hardships, she is blessed with dependable friends and has high potential to overcome them if she has the fortitude to do so. With such a bright future awaiting her, there is no way I would allow my greed to drag her into it on its own. Besides, if she doesn't seem to be able to overcome her hardships, I am always willing to come to her aid. It's not to say that I'm atoning for my past sins, but I'll do my best to support her from the shadows. I also think Lisa and Satsuki will back me up via Tachiki-kun, and it will be enough for me to decide whether to bring Kaworu inside or not after I see that. I spent an awkward time sipping my tea in silence and watching the other side. I was pondering if there was anything good to talk about while thinking about how bitter this tea was. The awkward silence broke when I heard a drip 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 drip. It seems to be starting to rain. Kaworu gazes out the window with a melancholy expression on her face. Long eyelashes and slanted eyes. A well-defined nose and contours. Looking at her beautiful profile, I remember that she was a very popular character in Dun X, even if not as popular as the next student council president or Pink Chan. No wonder my childhood friend was so desperate not to be taken as a wife. It was understandable if she was this beautiful. As I was admiring her with my inner Butao mind, she suddenly stood up with her eyes wide open. Sota, no, I've got some things to think about, so I'm going home for today. Okay, be careful, your home is just around the corner, but just in case be alert. I was surprised to see her leave so abruptly, maybe because she was pissed off that I had been watching her. I'll explain it to my classmates, and I'll see you later then. The time that had just passed so slowly seemed like a lie, and Kaworu was gone like the wind. In any case, in such a busy time, it is really helpful that she went out of her way to deliver the message and even explained it to her classmates. I sent her to the door and thank her for her help. The door is closed and silence reigns in the Narumi household. I return to the living room, stretching to relieve my sore muscles. I thought I could finally go home and relax, but I didn't realize there was a clan party still left. I want to run away as fast as I can. I want to dive into bed as much as I can. I was tempted to do so, but I shook my head and decided to cut off the temptation. Even if I were to resist the nobles, I would have to raise my family's level to 30 or so. Until then, I should refrain from doing anything that might attract their attention. I remember her saying I could wear a uniform. Let's just take a shower and then think about what to do. As I was heading for the bathtub with a change of clothes, I heard a thudding sound coming down the stairs from above. It was quiet, so I didn't think anyone was there, but it seemed Hinano was there. Oni, welcome back, you really have lost weight.
I didn't know you were there. I thought you were in the dungeon, too, since the room was so dark.
I was sleeping. Oh, it's raining already, I have to put the laundry in quickly.
She hurriedly took out the laundry basket and took in the laundry that had been hanging outside to dry. I can't believe she slept with the laundry hanging out to dry in such a gloomy weather. What a lazy child.
I have to talk to you after you get out of the bath. Give me some time later, will you? I have a towel, a t-shirt, a mask, and this robe, which is hard to dry, but it's wet. It was my first shower in a week. Even though I had cleaned my body with purification, I still wanted to use hot water. Chapter 101, A mansion in an aristocratic district. I look in the mirror as I sets my hair to go to a clan party hosted by Kunoichi Red. My reflection was a far cry from my original image of Butao. Both of my parents and my sister are reasonably good looking, so I thought that if Butao, which was I, lost some weight, I might be able to look better. And the uniform. Aside from the jacket, the trousers have become loose-fitting and do not look good. If the waist size has changed so much, should I consider buying new pants? I don't have much time today, so I'll just use a belt to tighten them up. Well, I'm ready to go, but first, I have to talk to Hinano. Hinano, I need to talk to you. What's wrong with you, wearing a uniform at this hour? Hinano, who was relaxing in the living room and looking at a magazine, looked up and saw me in my school uniform and asked me what was going on. My father and mother are hunting skeletons, and I want you to be with them tonight. I was going to, but what's the occasion? I want Hinano to stay back just in case there might be a dangerous situation.
What? Dangerous? Hanano tilts her head vigorously, unable to grasp the situation. I am going to the place written in the invitation letter, probably Kunoichi Red's base. If they attack me it won't be a battle, but I still want my family to evacuate just in case. My parents are now in a hunting ground where a number of skeleton warriors are popping up. They sent me a video of my mother becoming a wildfire demon shooter after learning magic, but my father is not too happy about it, but I guess he is enjoying it in his own way. If Hinano is on her way too, the three of them can hunt Bloody Baron together, and I hope they will be doing well in the dungeon tonight. I'll be fine. I'm just going to meet someone and have a bite to eat. Nothing dangerous will happen. And when it does, I've got plenty of room to spare because I've got a lot of hole cards. Well, the only person who can defeat Oni is Kotaro-sama. Tasato Kotaro is the clan leaders of Colors. He is a celebrity who appear in various stories in the game as well. His strength is unknown since there were no one-on-one fight scenes in the game, but I'm curious to know how good he is. TL. Foreshadowing, oh yeah, and when you go to the dungeon, take your mask and robe with you. They are very strong when fighting against fellow humans. Yeah, it was a little wet, but I wonder if it's dry already. Foo musical note. My sister sings a strange song and looks at the robe that was dried in the room. The robes have the effect of diminishing presence, and the old wooden masks have the effect of blocking appraisal skills. The robes are not effective against monsters, but they are very effective against people, so I want to buy enough of these for me and my parents as soon as possible. I'm off then, call me if you need anything. Okay, take care Oni. She was lying on the sofa again, looking at a magazine and waving at me. Now that the class competition is over, it's time for the family power leveling to resume in earnest. For that reason, let's get the troublesome stuff out of the way.
I walk out the front door, take out my watch, and make sure I have plenty of time to spare. Looking up at the sky, I see that the sky, which should normally still be bright, is dreary and quite dim. The rain seems to have stopped, but according to the weather forecast, it is supposed to rain again, so I check to see if I have a folding umbrella in my magic bag. I hope it ends amicably, I somehow managed to put a positive spin on the party I didn't feel like going to, and was about to step out into the night when a black luxury car came from the other side and pulled up in front of our house. As I looked to see who was in the car, the window opened, and inside was Kusunoki Karara-chan, wearing a sleeveless dress with long azure hair and a red flower ornament. At a quick glance, she looked like a daughter of rich family with lady vibes, and she looked very well suited. She looked at me and raised her willow eyebrows. "Oh, are you some brother of Sota Narumi?" "I'm a brother of Sota Narumi, good evening." She looked at me from top to bottom, muttering, "I thought you looked more like a raccoon dog," and put her hand on her chin and wondered why I was there. I told her it was me, but she didn't believe me. I showed her the invitation card I had received, and she finally recognized me. "Then, let me introduce myself again. My name is Karara Kusunoki. Have you read the message I sent you?" Message. I hurriedly opened the list from my ARM terminal to check it and found that I had received a message this morning to the effect of, "I will pick you up about an hour before the clan party." I had left a large number of messages from my classmates unattended, so they were buried and I hadn't noticed them. I'll have to sort through them later. "Please get on, this way." Karara-chan gave the signal, and a man dressed in a butler's uniform came out from inside and opened the door behind her, telling me to get in here. The light and elegant way he carried himself made me think he might be a samurai rather than a butler. I decided to take the ride without hesitation. I sit down on the back seat, which is very soft and fluffy, and the door is closed. The noise outside is completely muted, and I notice that quiet classical music is playing in the background. The white leather interior is a sign that this is a luxury car, but for me, a commoner, it feels uncomfortable. My butt is itching. Karara-chan raises one hand again and a motor sound is heard as the car smoothly departs. I looked at her profile and saw that she was smiling, and her expression was much softer than when I first met her. Well, she was treated as suspicious at first. In the original world, this town was a quiet residential area, but since the dungeon was built, many buildings have been constructed and it has been transformed into a dungeon city where many people come and go. The streets lined with bars are lively with adventurers returning from dungeons drinking together in their armor and customers making noise with street performances such as, 100,000 yen if you beat me. Driving through such a downtown area, we are headed for the aristocratic district. A little further on, there is a small plateau where all the aristocrats have their mansions. There is another name for this area, but the locals call it the noble district. It seems that the nobles of the adventurers' school also commute to the school by car from this noble town, not from their dormitories. Of course, common people do not go to the noble district unless they are on business. Even just walking around, you never know what kind of trouble you might get into with the aristocrats. Normally, I shouldn't be going there either, but I have a feeling that I would like to take this opportunity to find out a little bit about what kind of ecology the aristocrats have. My inner piggo mind is curious about a place I'm visiting for the first time, so I'll just enjoy myself while eating some delicious food. As I was looking out the window thinking like this, Karara-chan, who was standing next to me, spoke to me. "Narumi, Sota, it seems you did very well in the interclass competition. I'm sorry, but there were a lot of mistakes and flukes which made it appear to be so. You don't have to hide it. I know you are no ordinary person." "You're no ordinary person." I'm a little curious to know how much information she has gathered. "I think you're being a bit paranoid. I'm a poor performer in the E class, which is considered an inferior class. I don't know your exact strength, but I know you are a faker, and that alone guarantees a certain level of competence." "What is a faker?" "Well, I have a rough guess. The actual, fake, skill is apparently a hidden skill that is known only to a few organizations and groups. But what does she want to hear from me? I'm sure she's already checked my background and knows I have none."
"My aunt has told me to be friendly to you."
"Aunt? Mikami Haruka-san. Yes, she is very beautiful and wonderful. She is a very tolerant person, but please be careful not to be rude." "I will keep that in mind. To be honest, I don't have a very good image of aristocrats."
As I walked up a gentle slope, I noticed that the familiar inorganic streetlights had been replaced by antique street lamps and the sidewalks by natural stone pavement instead of asphalt. We must have entered an aristocratic neighborhood. The houses in this neighborhood are all mansions, and the gardens that can be seen through the fences are spacious and the hedges and trees are well kept.
After driving along the street for a few minutes in the evening darkness, I saw a huge, illuminated castle-like building ahead of me. I wondered if it was a guest house or something. "That's my aunt's private residence. Isn't it very nice? We use it when the clan holds events there." It kind of looks like a medieval castle. It is a 3-story building, maybe 50 meters wide, built in a U-shape. It is elegantly lit up from the outside with pale warm-colored light, and the light reflects off the water in the large fountain in front of the house, making the exterior walls sparkle. I mean, how is it possible to privately own such a castle-like structure in Japan? We get off here. I was taken aback by the grandeur of the house, which was beyond my imagination, and the car was pulled up in front of the iron gate. As I was told by the butler to get off here, the door was opened, so I decided to get off. The nameplate next to the gate reads, Goshen, so it seems that this is the right place. TL. Goshin, Japanese, Hushian, protector of the spirit. I saw that Karara was wearing a mask like those worn at a masquerade ball. It is a highly fashionable carnival mask that hides only the eyes and nose. But I didn't bring anything like that with me. Only we members wear these masks, so don't worry about it. Let's go, follow me. I followed Karara-chan and entered the Goshin residence through the open gate. Near the entrance, 2 colors of hydrangeas were in full bloom, illuminated by the street lamps, and we walked slowly through the pathway. The lawn is neatly mowed, and the flower beds in the back are planted with various kinds of plants and trees. I wonder how many gardeners it takes to maintain such a large garden. When I bypassed the round fountain and reached the main entrance, I found a group of armed men with swords waiting for me. Although they were wearing suits, they looked like they were used to roughing it, so I guess they were hired adventurers. This area is not a magic field, but if push came to shove, they might deploy the magic tools of an artificial magic field.
So I show them my invitation and after a brief body check, I ask permission to enter.
Well, I wonder what it's like inside. The courtyard and the exterior of the house were so expensive that it made my commoner soul tremble to see how amazing the inside of this mansion was. As expected, I passed through the huge front entrance and found myself in a glittering lobby. A large chandelier, perhaps 2 meters high, hung from the vaulted ceiling, and the light reflected off the shiny polished marble floor, dazzling me. Artwork and furnishings are placed here and there, and the walls are decorated with a series of large paintings. But then again, isn't this one of the highest ranks of nobility? The interior is lavish and at the same time, it has a sense of history, pedigree, and elegance. Even the furnishings are finely engraved with patterns and carvings, indicating that they were made by craftsmen of a certain caliber. Only a handful of families, even among the nobility, could have amassed such a fortune. The Goshin family must have been counted as counts, but perhaps there are even richer people out there. Looking over to the reception sofa by the window, I notice a woman in a black and red dress sitting comfortably and waving a small hand at me. She's wearing a mask that covers her eyes and nose, so I can't make out who she is, but I can guess that she is a supervisor-like person because Karara-chan, who is in front of me, suddenly straightens her back and bows to her. The woman stands up gracefully and comes close to me, her mouth coated in bright red lipstick and a smirk on her face. Her bosom is wide open, so it's kind of hard not to get a good look at her. TL. Difficult times, we all want difficult times. Welcome, Sota Narumi, it's been a while. This is the deputy leader. I understand that you and Narumi have met before in the dungeon. Ah, yes, I'm glad to have met you at the dungeon. A woman greets me with a lustrous voice. I had met her before when I took the test for advancement to the adventurer ranks. The black suit she was wearing at the time was great, but the dress she is wearing now that emphasizes her curves is just as sexy, which is more great.
I've invited several other distinguished guests today, and we will entertain you to the best of our ability.
Thank you very much. Our clan leader would like to talk to you later. But first, I've prepared a feast for you, so don't hesitate to eat. Come on, Narumi. Here we go. 2 beautiful women in dresses escort me to the party hall. It's nice to have flowers on both hands and even a feast. I might have come to the right place. I was so excited that I had completely forgotten that I was going inside Assassin Den.